All right, we have reached the end. We are talking about future tense today. This is your last new tense, and this is essentially the last new notes for the year. After this, it's a lot of practice and a lot of application of everything you've already done, but there's nothing else that's new in Latin 1. You have reached the end. All right, so future tense, not a hard tense at all. It is, however, a little bit different from any other tense, and that's why we save it to the end. Okay? What's unusual about it is that there are two patterns for it. You know, every other tense you've just had one way you do it, and this one is actually two ways to do it. And it depends on the type of verb you're looking at. Okay, what conjugation do you have? Do you have a first, a second, a third IO, or a fourth? Matters for future tense. Yeah? Because first and second conjugation verbs are going to do one thing, but third IO, and fourth are going to do a different thing. Yeah? Sometimes, some activities, some people, some textbooks will call these things the first future and the second future. That's fine, that terminology is okay, but what needs to be clear and what sometimes causes confusion, there is only one future tense. Okay? The future tense. It happens to have two different patterns that might get used depending on the type of verb, but it's all future tense. Okay? Now, because first and second conjugation use one pattern, and third IO, and fourth follow another pattern, you got to make sure that you know how to identify what conjugation you're looking at. Okay? So as a reminder, your first two principal parts are what you're going to need to tell what conjugation. If your first principal part ends O and your second one ends ARE, then it is first conjugation. If it first one ends EO and the second one ends long ERE, then you're looking at second conjugation. Those two are going to follow one pattern. If it ends O and then short ERE, that's third conjugation. IO short ERE, that's 3IO. We call it IO because the first one ends IO, right? And then fourth conjugation is IO IRE. Okay, so those three, third IO, and fourth, are going to use the other pattern. So you got to identify which type of verb you're looking at so that you know which pattern to apply. All right. Pattern 1 is just a stem and an ending. My endings came up out of sequence here, but that's okay. We will live, right? So your stem is your second principal part minus RE. Careful. For present and imperfect, remember we've removed vowel RE. Now we keep that vowel. It's just second principal part minus RE. And then your endings are bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Yeah? So, amo, amar. Let's do this. All right, you can pause for a moment, write out your forms. You're going to do second principal part minus RE plus bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Pause it, write it out, and then you can check yourself because I'll show you the answers. Okay? So, amabo, amabis, amabit, amabimus, amabitus, amabut. Yeah. And same thing, dokeo, dokere. Pause it for a minute, write out your forms, and then I'm going to show you the answers in just a second. Here we go. Dokebo, dokebis, dokebit, dokebimus, dokebitis, dokebunt. Yeah? That's future tense. That's your first pattern. For a first conjugation or a second conjugation verb, this is the pattern you would use to do a future tense. Yeah? I've still got these endings out of sequence. Oh well. The other pattern, if your verb is a third IO, or a fourth conjugation, it's going to be stem plus ending, but this is different. Your stem is very different from anything we've used before. Your stem here is a first principal part minus O. Okay? First principal part minus O. and then your endings are es, et, emus, etis, ent. Okay. So again, mito, mitere, take a moment, write them out. You're going to take mito minus the o, and then add your endings es, et. Yeah. Mitam, mites, mitet, mitemus, mitetis, mitet. Yeah. For a third IO, facio, facere. Yeah, again, pause it, write them out, and I'll show you the answers. Yeah, faciam, facies, faciet, faciemus, facietis, facient. Yeah. Notice here that you've got this double vowel. That's the first time you really had that. Yeah, that's one of the indicators of a future in third IO and fourth, is you're going to get this double vowel. Yeah. All right, and again, audio audire, same thing, take a moment. Yeah. And the answers are audiam, audies, audiet, audiemus, audietis, audiet. Yeah. So a couple of notes. One, remember, two different patterns, but it's all future tense. And when you try to put something in the future tense, it's all future tense, and you just have to decide which pattern depending on the type of verb you have. Yeah. Another note here, you will hear another way of teaching future tense. If you transfer to Latin somewhere else, or you do Georgia Virtual, or you take another school, or you read another textbook, there is another way to do it. You get the same answer. The answer doesn't change, but you can do this based on the idea of second principal part minus vowel plus joined vowel plus ending. There is another pattern. If for some reason you think that would help you more, I can share that with you privately. This is the easier way. They both get you the same answer. There's no difference. It's just the way that it's taught is a little bit different. Okay. That is future tense. That is your 6th tense out of 6. And as I said, you are done with new notes for Latin 1. After this, it's all practice and application. All right.